I attended Europe's biggest marketing conference, AdCon, last week, and I really wanted to vlog the experience and bring you along with me. But I was pretty nervous going into the conference. I have never been to a conference like this before. I signed up to go alone, so I literally knew nobody that was going. It was in centre of London, where it was in Wembley. So I was pretty anxious about kind of getting there, knowing where I was going to park and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't actually vlog anything. I took some pictures and I took a ton of notes. But what I thought was more important would be letting you know what my takeaways were specifically for therapists in private practice. So obviously I got a lot of takeaways from it for my own business, but I wanted to make the video that was more specific to you, because why would you want to watch a video about what was important to me and what is going to be good for my business? It would be useless to you. So the number one thing that I got from the conference was actually my elevator pitch. It was explaining what I did, because after explaining something 40 times, you can get quite good at it. And it was actually amazing to see how I perfected telling people what it is that I did, because always the first question was, what do you do? So the first few times, it would take me a good 5 minutes to kind of explain, well, I used to be a VA working for therapists in private practice. Now I do this and I do this as well. And actually I do this as well. And it kind of didn't make sense, and it was confusing to everybody I spoke to. And when I introduce myself on these YouTube videos, I say, hi, my name's Kim. I help therapists in private practice get online, get confident with admin, and reduce tech overwhelm. But actually, does that even explain what it is I do? I don't think so. Because what does get online even mean? To me, it means I will help you with your systems and processes, your online stuff, so that you can get on with what you like to do. But actually, it doesn't really explain that, and I don't think it's very clear for people. So this is going to be my new intro, but I need to remember it. So I'm going to read it from here. I help therapists in private practice with their business systems and processes, getting them confident with admin and reducing tech overwhelm. I think that sounds much better. I think that explains more about what it is that I do. I'm helping therapists with their business systems and processes. Much more clear. So that is going to be my intro from now on. Take me a while to get used to it, but that is what you're going to hear from me. So that is who I am. And what I want to give you in this video is my top takeaways from the marketing conference for therapists in private practice. So hope you're still with me, and let's get to them. Right, I'm gonna read from my book. I wrote these things in my book as I was listening to the speakers. I don't remember how many speakers there were. There are probably 25 to 30 different speakers, maybe even more, over the 3 days. And obviously I was thinking about my own business as I was listening to people taking notes. But I also wanted to take notes for my clients and also for you, the audience that watches my YouTube videos and follows me on socials and is on my email newsletter. Because I always want to make sure that I'm thinking about how things would benefit other people, not just, myself and my business. So I had a whole page dedicated to things I learned for therapists in private practice. And the number one thing I put is, there is not one way to success. So this is not something I learned specifically from a speaker, but the fact that all of these different speakers, and like I said, there was about 30, they all had the way that they were successful. So with regards to marketing, some people were successful with YouTube ads. Some people were successful by building a community. Some people were successful with meta ads, and there was various other ways that people were successful, media, PR, all these kind of things. And what it got me thinking was, yes, this is great. This is what they're teaching, and this is how they were successful. But there were 30 people on the stage, and they all had different ways that they were successful. So it's kind of good, I think, that there isn't one way to success, and you need to find your own way. And by success, I mean, for you in private practice, that might mean how you fill your practice to 10 clients. Maybe you want 10 clients in your private practice, and that would be super successful to you. There isn't one way to do it. I can teach you a way. There are various people that teach private practice, marketing strategies and all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to just follow one person, because that might not work for you. It might not be the way that you like to do things. So if somebody's telling you you need to blog every single week to get clients so that you have SEO on your website and things like that, but you actually don't like writing, that's not going to be a way to work for you. Whereas somebody else might teach networking, and actually if you network with peers and other professionals, then that is the way to fill your practice. Everyone has their own way, but you need to find what works for you. And I found that really comforting for myself, because I was writing down all these notes, but there was only certain things that were resonating with me for whatever reason. And I think that's basically my takeaway for you. Please watch and learn from other people that have gone before you. You can learn from people like me, where I've never had a private practice, but I have worked with many therapists in private practice, many successful therapists in private practice, and I can teach you best practice from them. But you really need to find your own way based on what you enjoy doing, what you're good at, and things like that. So there is not one way to be successful. The second takeaway that I had is that you don't know what you don't know. Stephen Bartlett came on to the stage and he was a keynote speaker, but he didn't speak, he kind of did a Q&A. So the host of the event asked him questions, and then for the last 15 minutes, the audience got to ask him questions. Now, if you don't know who Stephen Bartlett is, he is a dragon on Dragon's Den. He has multiple companies. He has a podcast called The Diary of a CEO. He's like hugely popular right now. So it was really a big deal to have him there. But what I noticed were the questions that he was getting from the audience were so basic. They were questions that you could have asked anybody. And actually, if you don't know what to ask, you don't know what you don't know, right? You could book an hour call with me to ask me questions. But if you don't know what to ask me, that is going to be a complete waste of an hour. And I took this for my business of kind of assuming people understand a certain amount before they come to me. But actually, that's not always the case. So for you in private practice, I think this comes down to what I talked about really recently, which is about the onboarding procedure. So when you are taking on a new client, you want to assume that they know nothing. And even if you've had a verbal conversation with someone, you want to make sure you back everything up in a welcome email. So you guide that person through the onboarding procedure to get to their first session. And I have got a whole video about an onboarding procedure, which I will link everywhere. But it's really important to make sure that your client understands what the process is for payment, how they book sessions, how they receive online links or directions to your place of work, what the cancellation policy is, and all these kind of things. Because first of all, they don't know what they need to know. And second of all, when things are unclear, that is when people are not going to turn up to sessions, because they are going to be anxious about all of these things. So the onboarding procedure is super important for you and your clients. And I would say it's one of the key things that you really need to think about when it comes to anything to do with your client journey, because this is going to make sure that they have a great impression of working with you and get to their first session. When it comes to you as a business owner, not knowing what you don't know, that is where I think making sure that you are in Facebook groups with other therapists, you are on people's newsletters for things that you need to know about, like websites, systems and processes, if you're watching this video, loads of other things. You don't know what you need to know. So make sure you're on these lists and in these groups so you can see what other people are asking and what other people are talking about. Because just like those people asking Stephen Bartlett ridiculous questions, that is such a wasted opportunity to get so much knowledge and really good information from someone who is like a multi-millionaire and has grown many companies, and asking him questions that are either in his books or he said on his podcast. So I've kind of rambled on about this point quite a bit, but you don't know what you don't know, learn from other people. Your clients don't know what they don't know, make sure you give them all the information they need. The next key thing I learned, and this is a specific kind of quote from one of the speakers, and it's, if you have a Ferrari product and you're trying to sell it at a Ford Focus price, the client or customer is going to think, what's wrong with it? Now, I've talked about this with many therapists, mostly one-to-one, but also in a coaching group that I was in. And it was about the perception that clients have when they see your fee. So if you are nervous about setting your fees and you look around at other people and you just kind of charge the same fee and you kind of you go on the lower end of the scale, people will assume that you're newly qualified, not good at your job, or something like that. It's really important to make sure that you are charging, first of all, what you need, obviously, and I've got a video all about fee setting, but that you're not undercharging because you think people won't pay it. Because the majority of people will look through prices and see what you're talking about. So maybe you're an expert in this, or you specialize in this particular modality, but then they see your price and it's super low. They are going to become nervous and wonder why you're charging so low. If you are positioning yourself as an expert, you should be making sure that you're charging accordingly so that people don't get dubious about it. For me personally, when I have been searching for a therapist, I will rule out anyone under a certain fee purely because of the fact that I think if they're charging that low, they're not that good. Now, that is me, and that is definitely what I did in the past. But after talking to many friends and family members, they also do the same. So yes, there is always a case for low fee programs, but that is it. It's a low fee program. It is a percentage of your private practice. It is not the whole of your private practice. If you charge what you need, what you are worth, and all that kind of stuff, you can then offer a much lower fee to a percentage of your clients because you are getting that higher fee for the majority. So if your website is all singing and dancing and your Psychology Today profile says all the right things, make sure you're backing that up with the appropriate fee. Okay, this kind of leads on from the last one, and it's about having product and packaging and needing both. So if you have an amazing product, so in your case, that's going to be your therapy, right? So you give great therapy and you know that you're a good therapist and what you offer is really good. If you do not package that properly, so you don't get your messaging right, you don't have a website, or your website doesn't look very good, people are not going to think that the product, the service that you are offering is good as well, because you cannot get your message out there. On the flip side of that, if you have an amazing Psychology Today profile, website, social media account, but you can't back it up with the service that you are offering people, then that's also bad. You need to have both. You need to have the great service, and that's the core of what you do. You need to make sure that both inside and outside the therapy room, you are giving great service to your clients. But you also need to be able to get the messaging out there correctly so that you can tell people about your amazing service or product that you are offering them. So it is so important to have both. And this is where I think I have fallen down sometimes. I feel like I have a great product with, the various different things I offer, but I've not been so good at the messaging part. I've not been great at being able to explain what it is that I do very well. And that's mainly because I do it all myself and I don't like people to look at my stuff and give me criticism. Even if it's constructive criticism, I see that as like really bad criticism. So I kind of just do it and do it to the best of my ability and don't show anyone. So I've really kind of moved away from that and tried to get more input into my sales pages and the emails that I'm sending to people, all that kind of stuff. But basically, it's going to be really hard to be successful. And I'm putting successful like this because success is what you make it. But it's going to be really hard to be successful if you don't have a great product or service and also a great packaging, a way to get the message out about your product or service. So that was my next takeaway. There's a huge gap between knowing and doing. I watch YouTube videos all day, basically. Obviously I'm working, but in the morning while I'm getting ready, I watch YouTube video. Whilst I'm driving anywhere, I listen to business podcasts. I watch and listen to learning stuff on my computer in the background when I'm working, and I read business books all the time. But if you are just consuming loads and loads of information and you're not taking action on anything, then you might as well not know it. So what you need to do is make sure that when you're learning, you're taking action. You're learning, you're taking action all the time. Don't just continually consume and not take any action on it. Okay, my next takeaway is people buy with their emotions. I'm just going to read what I wrote. There's a reason most people seek therapy when they're desperate, when the pain of staying the same is greater than doing something about it. Speak to them so that they know you understand. You want people to say, they get me. So what I also learned is people don't care about facts and figures. They don't care about what is in my modules and what they will learn. What they want is the outcome. Now in therapy, I know that's super hard because you can't promise anything. Like with my courses, I can promise you that you will have a practice management system set up by the end of the 4 weeks, with regards to my course that I'm launching soon. You will have that set up. If you follow my steps, you will have a practice management set up by the end of 4 weeks. Now, I know you cannot promise anybody any outcome as a therapist, but what you can do is make sure that when they read anything that you have written, whether that is anything on your website, your directory listing, blogs and things like that, you want people to know that you are the right person to help them by what it is you're saying, how you are connecting with people and the words you are using. It's not about being manipulative. It's about people knowing that you understand them and therefore they know that you're the right person to help them. Most people looking for therapists will read tons and tons of directory listings, and you need to stand out specifically for the people you want to help. And that might mean that you are really pushing away the people you don't want to help. You don't want to just list a bunch of things that you help people with. I help people with trauma, PTSD, all the things that you can help people with. That to me would be like, okay, that therapist is very general and doesn't make me feel special, doesn't make me feel like you can really help me with my problem. And people say to niche all the time. And I think that in any industry, in any kind of marketing situation, you really do need to niche and talk to the specific person you want to help and repel the ones that you don't, because then that person will know that you are for them and they won't contact all the other therapists until they hear from you first. I want to work with this therapist. I will contact this therapist, and if this therapist isn't available, then I might contact other ones, but I just want to work with this one because I know that they get me. So people buy with their emotions. For you specifically as a therapist in private practice, that's even more true than kind of anything else. So use that, but obviously in a non-manipulative, weird way. Okay, the next takeaway was hire what you don't know. So I do talk about this as well on the channel with regards to, hiring a virtual assistant, because you could spend 10 hours on your admin because you're not very good at it, you don't like it, you don't know how to do it quicker. And you might hire someone and it only takes them, 25% of the time that it would take you. So yes, you are paying for that person's time, but if you could save yourself 10 hours, only pay somebody for, let's say, 3 hours, you are going to be in a winning position because you could probably work 2 of those 10 hours, see 2 more clients and pay for that virtual assistant. Hope that makes sense. So don't waste your time on things that you're not an expert in. Would I do my own Facebook or YouTube ads if I really wanted to push myself out there to other people? No, I wouldn't, because I would waste a ton of money by not understanding how it all works. There is a time and a place in business where you have to get your hands dirty and really understand how everything runs in your business. But there is also a time, and it is usually way before you actually do it, when you should get some help. And that will save you so much stress, so much time, and ultimately will save you money. So my takeaway is hire what you don't know. If you don't know how to do something, find someone that does, find someone that you trust, find someone that you know will do a good job, and just forget about it. I spoke to one of my Goal Getter members where we were doing a check-in, and we were talking about, what was taking up time so they couldn't take action on their goals. And she said, well, my admin is a real problem because it takes me so much time and I know I have to do it, but, and I said to her, why do you have to do it? You don't enjoy it. It takes you a really long time. You procrastinate around it, so you're wasting time. And also you have these big goals that you want to achieve, and all this stuff is just taking up time. And so I said to her, why do you need to do it? Why can't you hire someone to do it for you? And it never occurred to her that she could do that. It never occurred to her that actually she doesn't need to do her admin. Somebody else can do it. And I think as therapists in private practice, you really do worry about your clients. And I really respect you for this. You really worry about what your clients will think about you hiring someone. You worry about GDPR and confidentiality. But there are people that specialize in working with therapists in private practice and can absolutely take this on for you so that you don't have to worry about it. So hire out for what you don't know. And finally, and this is something that I did get from Stephen Bartlett, it was care about the small stuff. He was saying that in order to be successful, you need to do what 99% or 99.9% of people will not do. You need to care about the small things. So he had somebody in his business who changed the air freshener in the podcasting studio and put a post about it in their Slack channel, and everyone congratulated them because they'd found something that they could change that might make a difference. It might make absolutely no difference. It might make bad difference. You know, the guest and Stephen Bartlett might absolutely hate the smell of the air freshener and it causes them to have a bad interview. But he doesn't care because he has a person whose job it is to make these decisions, these really tiny decisions, so that some of them are going to pay off and make a huge difference to their business. Now, obviously, we are not in the league of Stephen Bartlett. I definitely cannot afford somebody to just make tiny little decisions in my business and that's their only job. But each individual person in my business can make decisions or changes that could make a big difference. And I don't want people to be afraid to say something. I don't want people to say, actually, Kim, the way that we're doing this doesn't actually work anymore because this system has changed and there's actually a quicker way. I want somebody to be able to come and tell me that. So for you as therapists in private practice, you need to care about the stuff that other therapists in private practice won't care about. You need to care about your client's journey through your private practice and making decisions about every single area that your client touches, the inquiries, the onboarding, how you communicate with your clients, your paperwork, how you send out paperwork to your clients, the invoicing, how you invoice your clients, how easy you make it for them to pay, how regularly they need to pay. All of these kind of things, if you are the type of therapist that thinks about all of this stuff and really sweats the small stuff, really thinks about and takes care of their client outside of the therapy room as well as inside the therapy room, you are going to get clients that stay longer with you, more referrals from your clients, like whether they're working with you still or not, they will refer you to other people. And because of this, you will get a reputation within your field. Let's say you work for psychiatrists and they recommend to you. They will see that clients like working with you, that they stay with you for a long time, and they will recommend to you more. So it's really important that you don't just focus on getting more clients. I know a lot of people teach this, and when I speak to therapists in private practice, their number one question is, how do I get more clients? How do I get more clients? How do I get more clients? And I genuinely don't think that that is the first thing you should think about or the most important thing. Because if you want to be on a hamster wheel of constantly getting clients, then that's fine. But trust me, that gets very, very tiresome very, very quickly. If you're getting one client in and one client's leaving, you're constantly getting more clients, losing clients, getting more clients, losing clients. And what you want to do is make sure these clients are staying with you for a long time. Now, obviously, we don't want people staying in therapy longer than they need to. But when people like their therapist and they are seeing progress, they will stay with you longer. And then you will be off the hamster wheel of trying to constantly get clients. And someone said something, I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about be the honey, not the beekeeper. So you don't want to be the person that's constantly, trying to get the honey, I guess, trying to make the bees work and give you the honey. You want to be the honey. You want to be doing such a good job for your clients that people are attracted to you. And I do see this with my most successful clients. For the therapists that we work with on a day-to-day basis, I can tell the ones that are most successful because they are getting inquiries without doing anything. They're not on social media. They're not writing blogs. They are just doing an amazing job and getting referrals all the time. So sweat the small stuff, be the honey, not the beekeeper. Concentrate on making sure that the service you're offering both inside and outside the therapy room is the best it can be, and you will get clients. Okay, they were my top takeaways from the marketing conference. I really hope you found this useful. I did not really plan this video super well. I came back from the conference on Friday. I wrote my notes as I was doing them. So I've definitely winged this video. So I hope between all the waffling that I did, you got some good takeaways from it. If you have any comments, please leave them in the description below. I would love to hear from you on anything that I've spoken about. And I looked at my analytics this morning, and 79.6% of people that watch my videos are not subscribed, which is a huge amount. Now, to me, this is great because it means that I'm reaching people that don't know me, but it also means that they potentially are not going to hear from me again. So if you are one of the 79.6% of people who have not subscribed, please could you do me a favor and just hit the subscribe button? I would be really grateful, and I would love for you to give me a chance to show you what I have to offer and hopefully make a difference in your private practice. Until next time, thanks so much for watching.